Hi everybody, it's RPG Grandma in the home video, noisy background. We're going to pick up with the Book of Artifacts today. So what do we got? What do we got? Madame Lou's Special Potion by Mary. Wholesales for 50, resales for 250. If you've been watching the series, you know we don't know. I don't know what the markup price is. It seems pretty random. And remember, all the stuff, these prices are for one specific city on one specific world, but these things are going over. You can use in AD&D. You can use them in any of the editions of Dungeons and Dragons. Just make your appropriate changes. And other games as well, I'm sure, because we got so much more stuff since when this was published in 1982. All right. But they were really designed for a game system like Ardoon. But Ardoon back then, 1980s Ardoon, which we're going over, 1970s Ardoon, we'll look at as well. And you'll see the 70s is way more, there's a lot more mechanics. It's more board gamey, you know. You could go that way with it, absolutely. Like I've got like tactical, yeah. You could get totally into that kind of minute detail in combat. I'll be honest with you, that combat minute detail is great, in my opinion, for armies. Who's flanking who, you know, yeah. Maybe once in a while for some specific type of combats as the exception, not the rule. The rest of the time, I like it abstract. Fast and abstract, because I do not want to spend 2 hours on what amounts to 3 minutes of battle in real life. So, you see what I'm saying? I want my people doing stuff. I want them exploring. I want them dealing with interactions and all that stuff. So, just saying. So, understand that they had their own world, the people making Dragon Tree Press, their own sandbox, their own city that this is out of. But you could place that city on Ardoon easy enough, or just don't even worry about it being there, and just use the stuff from here. But it was very normal to make your own settings, very normal to make your own worlds. There was once a time that you could not get pre-boxed settings that had maps. You had to do your own thing. And that's what everybody was doing. They were doing their own thing, okay? And then when modules and stuff started coming out, and resources like that, they added. I had World of Greyhawk, and I got Forgotten Realms at some point. And I just put the World of Greyhawk on the same planet. I didn't even contemplate Blackmoor, aka Mysteria, being a separate world until I found out like years later. I'm like, what? Is it another planet, Mysteria? Not just Earth? Forgotten Realms, that's his own thing. Oh, okay. I was, you guys got to imagine this. I didn't buy everything TSR put out at the time. I only bought certain things, and then I slammed what I wanted together, and as when I was younger, and that's what I did. Even into my adult years, if I bought something new, and that was normal. So it's very strange to me when I hear people, they're like, oh, I only play this setting, like, well, you have more, then you have more than one setting, right? Like, no, and everything has to be just like in the setting. I'm like, why? Yeah. So it's very odd to me. So I'm just putting it out there. So when we look at these retail wholesale prices, if you've been following along, it's wacky and crazy. Makes no sense to me. So adjust appropriately and adjust things to your world. Just because this was made for Ardoon does not mean you can't use it in whatever game you're playing. If nothing else, inspiration time. So we've already done the pill that causes people to turn into the one-eyed purple people eater, right? One-eyed, one-horn, flying purple people eater. So let's take a look at Madame Lou's Special Potion by Mary. Wholesale's 50, retails 250. Uncommon. Smells like turpentine. Looks like Indian ink. To take a drink of this, the person must hold his nose and close his eyes, or at Dungeon Master's option, he must roll his Constitution -8. Effects. User doesn't know if it is day or night. He starts kissing everything in sight. As soon as he succeeds in kissing some uniformed official, roll to hit. The bottle will break and he will be back to normal. If the bottle is examined closely, there will be found on it the embossed number 9. Dungeon Master option. If anyone under 30 years old, you can go older now, player's age, not character's age, can predict the number, he deserves 100 experience points. So, saving throw adjustment, none. Addiction factor, 0%. Flashback, 20%. Dangerous mixture, 0%. It's not addictive, and there's 0% chance of ODing. Song inspiration. So this book was put together in 1982. And they probably pooled stuff maybe from a year or so, or gaming, maybe longer. Clearly, they were having some fun. You can have fun, too. There's been a lot more songs out since. Since the 82, June of 82. Lots of genres. There's got to be something you guys can fiddle with and create a potion, a magical item, something that you can use. Well, you know, like we've had discussions, I've had discussions with people on using music titles, album titles for themes and stuff like that. You know, there's some cool stuff out there if you start poking around that just, okay, the title of this album is great, and the names of the songs on this album are great. I'm going to make some adventures all around that album, for example. You could do that. Or you could make things that, you know, hopefully the players pick up on the joke. Okay. Moran's Morale Enhancer by Dana. Wholesales 20. Retails 100 a quart. Also known as White Lightning. Common clear liquid, pungent odor, not magic. This potion tastes very good to those drinking it. For each sip, add 5% to morale for the next 66 turns. Also give +1 to defense and -1 to attack. Overdose effects. The drinker will pass out for 1d8 hours, after which he will fight at -1 and be +1 for defense for 1d20 hours. This is 180 proof, grain alcohol, extremely flammable. So they have the saving throw adjustment 0. It's addictive 0 factor 0%. Flashback factor 0%. Dangerous mixture 10%. They do have it as listed as ADT, which means addictive. And which, you know, but then they gave you 0% addictive factor. So make some calls there. And you can overdose 20%. Now, depending on the edition, it's like if you're using D&D, what you got going on in your game system, you might need to adjust the effects, obviously. But back then, plus a -1 often carried greater weight than they do now. So make appropriate adjustments for how alcohol currently works in your setting towards that. Okay? Nottingham's Nostrum by Mary. Wholesale's 1, retail's 100. See what I mean? That's like it's a huge markup. Common. Metal box decorated with pictures of red roses. Full of snow that smells like roses. Radiates lawful good magic. This is real snow. Frozen water. Will not melt until 5 rounds after being taken out of the box. Doses 1/2 teaspoon. Effects last 2d4 days. Any round when the user, character, or player, Dungeon Master's option, says anything cross, rude, or quarrelsome, a toad comes out of their mouth and attempts to bite his lips. Initiative and to hit required. Toad's level and AC are the same as users. Damage is poison, 1 point per level. When he says something especially nice, Dungeon Master's decision, out comes a pearl worth 1d4 silver pieces per his level. When he succeeds in settling or preventing a quarrel among other party members, out comes a diamond worth 10 to 40 gold pieces per his level. Okay, saving throw adjustment, 0. It says addiction factor, 10%. Flashback factor, 20%. Dangerous mixture, 0%. Not addictive, and OD, 0%. Okay, let's see what the orcs have for us. Orcish potion of extra hit points. This is by Mary. It wholesales for 5. Resales for 10. Common flask of oil that smells like pig swill. This potion was invented by orcs and has never been successfully analyzed by humanoids. I kind of consider orcs humanoids, even though my orcs, my vision of them, not that I really can find samples of this anymore, and I'm gonna have to make like paper orcs. I think I have a whole huge orc army. Don't get me wrong, but they make them look very humanish. I like my orcs to look not humanish. I want them to look like orcs. So they need tusks, and the more piggish they are, the cooler they are. I did paint all my orcs green, though. That was just how I did that army. But I don't know. Now I maybe paint them different colors. It is only available in the lands where the orcs and their allies are so well supplied with it that humanoids have been able to steal some. I'm going to get back to orcs and Arden here. Less than 1 cup has no effect. A 1 cup dose gives the user an additional 5 hit points and lasts for 1 day. Dungeon Master's option effects usually cease each night at midnight, regardless of how many cups were drunk or at what time. In some worlds, up to 6 cups may safely be drunk at once. In other worlds, a second cup before the first one has worn off causes both to be vomited up and the effects lost. No save for your saving throw adjustment. Addictive factor is 0%. Flashback factor is 0%. Dangerous mixture, 0%. Addictive, Dungeon Master's option. OD, Dungeon Master's option. Okay, I'm going to stop there with the artifacts. I'm going to spin a little bit on orcs in Ardoon. Orcs in Ardoon are not just some guys in a cave necessarily, or some, roaming nameless horde. They actually have alchemy. They actually know how to do stuff. For you to have an alchemy lab, I don't know. Have you guys ever looked at that kind of stuff. We're talking on full on. You got some chemistry going on. You need to be settled down to have an effective alchemy lab. You need to be able to get the supplies. You need to be able to make enough stuff. And so there is orcish alchemical medicine in Ardu and in Hardgrave's material. So it's important to understand the orcs have like their own kingdom and stuff. Um, so personally, I like my orc. I like orcs. I like them to have a wide range of kinds of orcs. Um, so I'm cool with that. I could personally consider them a kind of humanoid, even though they're not being discussed that way in here. They're just monsters. Simply because there's a lot more to orcs than just monster. They can be monsters, but then so can humans in these games. So or dwarves or elves, anything can be a monster, right? So they walk on two legs. They got two perfectly good hands. Unless you want to make your orcs be totally different, which if you do, cool for you. Um, maybe we need a little more variation on the orcs these days. But yeah, so they got some stuff going on that's unique. They got their own unique medical system, all kinds of stuff like that. So that's something you should think about is how did demi-humans handle medicine and stuff. I mean, you tend to get this idea that, oh, you got hurt, quick, kill him, put him out to die, cut it off and cauterize it. I don't know, but it's kind of like that, and it's like, even a society that um, uh, is against being weak and more for being, survival of the fittest strong, uh, you know, they can't throw all their infants out. They can't be like, oh, you 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 hurt yourself. Now you got hurt in battle. Now you're no good, and we're just going to kill you. You quickly have no army. You quickly have no children because they're all born weak. There has to be some kind of balance in that stuff. Even if they're doing some of those things, there's got to be, when do they do that thing? They just don't do it all the time to everybody, because then you have no civilization. You have nobody to rule if you're the power hungry bad guy, right? So, just saying. Sometimes I read some of the things written about, and they're all into strength and the weak and blah blah blah, and you're like, yeah, but there's got to be some kind of balance to that. Otherwise, every mother monster would in that category would reject their children, right? Otherwise, every father would kill their own kids, every time. Oh, look, it's still it's so weak, requires to be taken care of, right? So I'm just saying there has to be some kind of balance to the system. Even in Sparta, there was a balance. Even in Troy, even in these places where the Romans even, okay. So even in places we know that did cultures that did bad stuff from archaeology, what they were doing. No, that's somebody else. That's why there's never any hot water for the adults. There's always somebody taking a bath here, even though, Nah, I don't think so. I think it's somebody else. But that's what I want you to kind of think about. Understand that having your own world is normal. But of course now we have lots of settings. I'm not going to get on them for having settings, though I do hate that they got rid of certain settings in D&D. Yeah, but that's okay because we'll have to get to how to fix that. It's called get the setting and play it anyway. But so if you want to do Dark Sun, go do Dark Sun. You know, don't listen to them. And in no way am I trying to tell people who are uncomfortable about certain things not to play the game the way they want. Just understand, you come to my table, there's gonna be orcs, and maybe they'll be like really civilized, and maybe they'll be like totally barbarians. You know, maybe they'll be half orcs of types you don't expect, because I'm cool with that. So I'm not getting rid of orcs, and I'm not getting rid of half orcs. They be around in my games when I'm playing fantasy games. I like orcs. I like orcs. I like pig-faced orcs, even though none of the little miniatures look like them. It's most annoying. Maybe I can get paper ones that look like them. Do my own art. Oh, it is Mason. Anyway, have a great day, and like, subscribe, and comment, and bye.